Blessed be chaotic cryptids. This is B.
This is Sarah, and you're listening to the Like You Know Bruh podcast.
And this is Cass. Welcome to our 6th episode. Who knows anymore?
Okay.
We've done so many of these.
Honest. So many.
Who
we're
can,
so
who
we're
can
so
count higher than
in depth.
5?
Well, today we are going to be doing a mixture of different types of topics, kind of bouncing off of last week's episode of out-of-body experiences. So we found some stories online, some Reddit, some not, of near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and some lucid dreamings. So I'm going to go first. So I found this website through my research into Reddit for near-death experiences. I found a website called, oh, bless it. Hold on, let me find the name. It is called International Association of Near-Death Studies. And they have like a whole slew of recorded encounters for people. They can submit their own near-death experiences. So I found 3 ones that were kind of lengthy-ish, and then I found a 4th one that has multiple near-death experiences in it. So I'm not sure which one I want to go to do first, but I can kind of read off the little bit of like the little description, and you guys can maybe let me know which one you're more interested in. The one that I had that is very lengthy, the titling of it is Girl Has 8 Near-Death Experiences and Learns the Purpose of Suffering on Earth. I had to start skimming over this one because there was a lot of like flowery language and self-reflection, which is great. I love it. It's a lot to read, so I'm not sure that I want to do that one, to be honest. But I have the 3 other ones. I had Hindu man has near-death experience 2 weeks after heart surgery. Young woman pedestrian is hit by car and has brief time out of body with entity. And then the other one is drowning young man learns of the mysteries of the universe.
Ooh.
So, which one do you think you'd want to hear first?
The universe one.
The
I'm
universe one?
interested in the drowning young man, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm really bad at reading, so I'm going to try not to stumble over my words. I'm going to read as slow as possible, but not crazy slow. July 26, 2019 dawned with the promise of a perfect summer day. The sun hung high in the sky, casting its brilliant rays over the coastline as if nature itself conspired to create a memorable experience. That day, I decided to head to the beach with 2 of my dearest friends, Sarah and Michael. The anticipation had been building for weeks, and we couldn't wait to revel in the simple joys of sand, surf, and sun. The beach, a place we held in reverence, unfolded before us like a tranquil paradise. Golden sand stretched out as far as the eye could see, kissed by the gentle caress of the azure waves. I don't know how to say that word. We set up our beach heaven with umbrella. By the way, this one is very like poetic. I love the way that they wrote this. We set up our beach haven with umbrellas, blankets, and a cooler filled with ice-cold beverages. Music filled the air, providing a soundtrack to our day of leisure. As the hours drifted by, we found ourselves immersed in laughter and heartfelt conversations. The contents of our cooler seemed to multiply, and we savored each sip of our chosen libations. The world outside our beach haven became a distant memory, and we reveled in the sheer joy of being alive and surrounded by the best of company. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, casting an amber glow over the beach, we decided it was time to embrace the cool embrace of the ocean. The waves beckoned us with their tantalizing allure, and we waded into the water, letting the gentle ebb and flow soothe our senses. Perhaps it was the heady combination of sun, fun, and the refreshing sea, but we ventured farther from the shore than we'd initially planned. The waves, initially playful, grew stronger and more unpredictable with each passing moment. Yet we felt invincible, caught in the euphoria of the day. It was in this moment of reckless abandon that disaster struck. An enormous wave, as if summoned by the sea gods themselves, crashed upon us with ferocity we couldn't have seen before. Panic surged as the unforgiving waters pulled us under, drowning our laughter and carefree spirits in an instant. Amid the chaos and darkness, as my body struggled against the relentless currents, my consciousness began to drift away. I felt weightless, as if I were being carried by an unseen force. It was then that I saw it, a brilliant tunnel of light, radiating warmth and serenity. It was a beacon of hope, drawing me toward it with an irresistible pull. As I entered the tunnel, I was bathed in a profound sense of love, peace, and joy. It was as if the light itself held the secrets to the universe, whispering promises of boundless understanding and unity. In that luminous embrace, I felt a profound connection to everything that had ever existed, a love beyond measure, a peace beyond description, and a that transcended earthly experiences. I wasn't alone in this celestial passage. Beside me there was a presence, gentle and reassuring. It was my spirit guide, a being who had journeyed with me throughout my life, offering guidance and protection in ways I had scarcely comprehended. In this timeless place of light and love, my spirit guide wordlessly conveyed a sense of purpose and guidance. We moved together through the tunnel of light, leaving behind the confines of the physical world and entering a realm of pure spiritual energy. Excuse me. Emerging from the tunnel of light, I found myself standing before a magnificent structure, a Roman-style building of grand proportions. Towering pillars adorned with intricate carvings rose into the heavens, and the air was thick with an otherworldly serenity. A soft golden light enveloped everything, infusing it with a sense of divine beauty. Before me, 3 ancient and wise beings stood in solemn welcome. Their eyes held the wisdom of epochs, and their presence radiated an awe-inspiring authority. Although their gaze was penetrating, it was also imbued with an extraordinary compassion and understanding. It was as if they had been waiting for me with knowledge of my very essence. Without uttering a word, they delved deep into my soul. Their scrutiny was thorough, revealing facets of my existence I had barely acknowledged. They traveled the tapestry of my life, inspecting my choices, my joys, my sorrows, and my aspirations. In their presence, I felt an overwhelming sense of introspection, as though my entire existence was laid bare before them. As I watched the events of my life unfold before me, I felt an inexplicable connection to each moment, no matter how significant or seemingly inconsequential. The moments of kindness and compassion radiated with profound light, illuminating the path of my journey. However, there were also moments of selfishness, hurt, and indifference, which cast shadows upon the tapestry of my life. I experienced a life review, a journey through my own history, guided by the wisdom of these ancient beings. Each memory contained Each memory contained not only the events themselves, but also the emotions, intentions, and consequences that had flowed from them. It was a revelation of interconnectedness, a realization that my actions rippled through the lives of others and reverberated through the cosmos. In this sacred process, I gained a deep and profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings and the power of our choices to shape the world around us. It was a reckoning with the impact of my actions and the opportunities for growth and transformation that they offered. Just as I began to feel the weight of their scrutiny, the 3 wise beings shared their collective wisdom with me. Their communication transcended the limitations of language, as their thoughts and insights flowed into my consciousness with perfect clarity. They imparted truths that transcended the boundaries of human comprehension. I felt as though the very secrets of the universe were being unveiled before me. I was filled with a profound sense of connection to the cosmos, a feeling of oneness with all of existence. It was a revelation that expanded my understanding of reality beyond measure. These ancient beings were not judges in the conventional sense. Rather, they were guides and mentors, offering wisdom and insight to aid in my spiritual growth. Their presence conveyed a profound sense of compassion and desire to assist in my journey toward greater understanding and enlightenment. But as swiftly as I had arrived in this ethereal realm, I felt myself being drawn back from the presence of these ancient beings, back to the world I had known. Their parting gaze held a promise of transformation and a charge to carry their wisdom with me. In an instant, I was once Ooh. In an instant, I was once again engulfed by the turbulent waters of the ocean, struggling for breath and life. As I broke through the surface, gasping for air, I realized I had been granted a second chance. I had been given the opportunity to carry the lessons from the other side back into the world of the living. The experience left an indelible mark on my soul, a reminder of the profound mysteries that lie beyond our mortal understandings. I knew that my encounter with those wise beings in the Roman-style building, preceded by the tunnel of light and the presence of my spirit guide, had forever had forever altered the course of my life. As I lay on the beach, my friends rushing to my side, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude for the second chance I had been given. I knew that I had been touched by something greater than myself, something that transcended the boundaries of time and space. From that day forward, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, seeking to live a life that aligned with the wisdom I had received on the other side. I carried the lessons of compassion, understanding, and interconnectedness with me, knowing that they held the key to more meaningful existence. In the years that followed, I found myself drawn to the study of philosophy, spirituality, and the mysteries of the universe. I shared my near-death experiences with others, hoping to inspire them to seek a deeper understanding of life's mysteries and to embrace the beauty and wonder of existence. My encounter with the three wise beings in the Roman-style building was a reminder that life is a precious gift, a fleeting moment in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. It was a reminder to live each day with purpose and gratitude, to cherish the moments of connection, and to strive for a deeper understanding of the mysteries that surround us. In the end, my near-death experience was not just a brush with death. It was a journey to the other side, a glimpse into the infinite, and a profound awakening to the beauty and complexity of the universe. It was a reminder that in the end, the most important things we can do with our lives is to seek knowledge, understanding, and connection, and to carry the wisdom we gain on our journey with us wherever we may go. So that's The Drowning Man.
So that was actually really beautiful.
It really
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
and super interesting too.
Yeah, one thing that I kept while I was reading these near-death experiences, the one thing that kept popping up anytime I come up with these types of situations, it's crazy because a lot of people think that it's just like your misfiring neurons and stuff like that. But it's more than just a dream, It's like so many people have these experiences, and they're more than just a dream, because you don't dream about stuff. Most people don't dream about things like that,
Yeah.
And it only pops up at the end of their life when they're dying. So why is that the common occurrence for people when they're having these near-death experiences? Why are these all, they might vary from in theme and in what happens, but it's always from what I've researched or whatever, none of it is ever the same as like just having a regular dream.
Right.
It's all got that same vibe of you almost know your life is ending, and sometimes it's comforting, sometimes it's scary, but it's all that same thing,
Yeah, and there tends to be also this overarching theme of meeting something.
Yes,
and,
that's the big one.
And getting knowledge that you did not have, or a perspective you didn't have. And that's what's interesting for me, because it's such a huge, like almost all of them. In fact, everyone that I've seen has had a guide, I guess is how I would put it.
And they manifest in different ways. And I think I've mentioned this before, and I'm so sorry. If you want, you can finish your thought, and then I can jump in.
No. That was my thought.
Oh, okay, sorry. It looked like you weren't finished quite yet. But the thing, and I think like I said, I mentioned it in another episode, I believe, but sorry, my brain went blank for a second. So even in children, like it's almost like these beings come to you in something for the most part that will be comforting to you. Um, and I know in that book that I read, it had an experience like it noticed that children would have people who are still alive coming to visit them. And and again, I that goes back to I think that those beings aren't necessarily our loved ones that have passed. Maybe sometimes, but I think they're just coming to us. It's these beings, these
In a form
otherworldly
we'll
beings coming
accept.
in a form exactly that makes us feel comfortable, safe, so that we're not scared. And I kind of want to look into ones where people don't feel safe, don't feel comforted. Like I'm a little interested. I'm gonna actually write that down so I can look into that for myself. But that would be something very interesting to look into because that's where most of us we hear about, oh, I felt so comfortable and safe and loved and blah
Well,
blah blah. But there are
I
people who have those where they don't feel safe.
I do
Yeah.
remember hearing about one where this guy, I could so 100% be wrong, but this guy, I'm wrong about the details, maybe. But this guy died for a few minutes on an operating table or in a hospital or something like that. And from his experience, it seemed like he went to the bad place, the Christian bad place.
Hmm.
Like he said there was fire and I want to say that he was saying that there was beings there that, like they radiated darkness and malice.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's definitely, it's not all like happy comforting things, like, and from what I remember, this guy like completely changed his life after this experience. And um because it scared him, like scared straight, like it scared him bad enough to say I've been living like someone who's going to go to the bad place.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I
I almost
definitely
wonder.
think that there are negative ones as well. It's just people don't talk about those because people don't like talking about what scares them.
Which here's two thoughts kind of going off of that. The first one that I had was it kind of goes off the belief that you create your own afterlife. Like what you
Mm-hmm.
believe about yourself is how your afterlife will be. So if
Mm-hmm.
you and it doesn't have to be a subconscious thing or a forefrontal thing in your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Front consciousness. It doesn't have to be, it could be subtle and you don't realize it until you have that moment and you're like, oh, shoot, I need to
Yeah.
change some stuff. And then, so that kind of goes off of that. And then the other thing, I forgot what I was going to say on that other thing. What were we?
They're not all bad. They're not all good. There's some negative experiences, but people are scared of
Oh,
showing their
scared of
fear.
what they don't, okay, so when you said that people don't like to talk about that, it's interesting. It was just a little tiny little thought. It's just interesting how in day-to-day life, when you have a bad experience somewhere, like a restaurant or whatever, you're quick to leave a bad review.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, if you have a positive experience, you're more likely to tell than if you have a negative experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
Or
that was
confused
interesting to me.
one, because when you're confused, you're searching for answers. But if you have at least what I believe, if you have a negative experience with a near death experience, right, you go to the bad place. You don't want to tell people like, hey, so I went to hell when I died because I've been
Yeah.
being the worst person ever. Like, you don't
Hmm.
want to, people don't want to admit to their faults. And when you have a near death experience where you go to the bad place, like, that's you admitting, I'm very faulted. And and people don't like admitting their faults because that means that they know that they've got to work on it. But I don't know. It's definitely a thought that how many experiences have people had where they went to a negative place, a bad place, a scary place, but they didn't share it because of their fear of how they would be received.
Or
Well,
or go ahead, Sarah.
just I think that's interesting, like because there'd be guilt associated with it, but
Hmm.
also you're right. You couldn't tell that story without also telling on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the
So
other
Especially
thing
if
is
you're.
is
Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say the other thing is maybe there aren't that many. Maybe they're and just playing. I don't know if it's devil's advocate or whatever, but maybe these people who have the bad experiences, all of them do tell, but there's just not a lot of them. So most of the positives are what is
Out there.
mostly out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too is BB, you kind of mentioned your belief that you kind of choose where you go,
Mm-hmm.
and I doubt in a very real way that even the people who would quote unquote deserve a less positive experience, we'll say, would have the self awareness and also the honesty that it would take to kind of say, hey, I deserve the down elevator. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's where I think that is like a subconscious thing. So if they do, in that instance, say a narcissist who
Hmm.
Yeah.
believes that they can do no wrong, I think deep down they know who they are, and that's why they are narcissistic. And so if they say that was someone who were to have a near death experiences, I feel like they would have that negative experience, and um, that's their subconscious saying, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't be a piece of shit."
Yeah.
See, I love that, and I really would like that to be the case. I very much hope that's the
Yeah.
case. But I feel like I've dealt with a couple of narcissists in my life, a couple of nameless narcissists. Um, and so many of them, like before that mask falls away, so many of them sell you this story of like victimhood and aloneness in their life. And then when that mask falls away and you're like, "Oh no, you were like crazy
You're
crazy this whole time."
evil. Cool.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. They then feel like you are victimizing them. Like
Yes.
the shield of victimhood keeps them from accountability. So I
Yeah.
wonder how many of them are truly aware of who they are, or how many truly believe that this is like everyone they've ever met has been secretly against them because the world is unfair. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And I think what I think, and maybe I'm too empathetic for this,
Yeah,
and I'm too like rose-colored glasses type situation here, but I think that narcissists um are how do I put it? They do these things. It's
right.
a protection mechanism, like with everything. And so I think deep down in the dark, deep down depths, somewhere in them, they realize that they are um ugly and that they don't want people to see that ugliness and
Yeah.
the unworthiness, or they believe that they're unworthy, and that's where that narcissism comes out. And that's why they do that, and they victim blame and they become the victim, and it's all a protection mechanism, but deep down they're unworthy in their eyes, but they just don't want to admit it. And like I said, it's so subconscious that they don't even realize it.
See, I
See, I
think.
hope you're
Go
right
ahead.
because I've always wanted to do just like a scientific survey afterwards, right? Like just be completely honest.
Yes.
Um like, hey, do you really believe that? Can you just check yes or no? And I'm gonna put it in
Please.
a file
I
and
won't
compare.
say anything. Just I need to know the truth.
Yeah, like because at that point, usually it's too late. You know this person can't be in your life. You know how it affected you. So any kind of like I'm the victim thing, you're just like, that's nice. I guess you can keep that. But just between the two of us,
Exactly. I promise I won't say nothing.
yeah, I won't say nothing, but I just Like, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Like, I think there's multiple types of narcissism, and we're going a little off topic here, but I'm gonna roll with it. I think there are multiple types of narcissism and narcissistic people. I do think that a large majority of narcissistic people, like you said, they have something that they know is wrong with them, or that they feel is wrong with them, or that they feel unworthy, or this, that, and the other. Um, and so they overcompensate by being narcissistic and putting forth the facade of I'm perfect. What are you talking about? But then again, I do
Okay.
feel that there are some narcissists that are 100% convinced that they are perfect in every way. I believe that there are some narcissists out there that wholeheartedly, like, they don't think, even deep down subconsciously, that anything is wrong with them. They think that they are God's gift to earth and they should be treated as such. So that's my thought on the whole narcissism deep down
Yeah.
thing. I think with a
Yeah.
lot of them it is, but with some of them they are just pieces of shit and don't know it.
But you also go ahead, Sarah. I'm gonna say something after that though.
No, I just, we definitely did go on a tangent, but I do think, because I find your theory of what happens afterwards so very interesting, and I've told you before, like, I love that theory. I hope that's the one, because I got plans. But but it does make you wonder, I guess, for me, if people who have, like, just been awful but are unaware, like, are they going to be in fields of wheat? I don't know. It just, the justice in me hates it so much. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. And I wonder, here's the other thing is I wonder if like that's where purgatory comes in.
I'm just going to jump back into it. Like, I didn't just disappear for 5 minutes. But
Also, I have something else to say about the afterlife and the NDEs and all that. So when you finish,
okay, because
I'm
that's
gonna
what
let
I
you
was going to talk
finish.
about too. You know, because they talk a lot about how, like, very neurodivergent people have a very strong black and white sense of justice, and I definitely do. So I guess the thing is, I want to vote. You know what I mean? Like, as someone who's been directly affected and who knows people who have been
Can I go
directly
say?
affected.
You just want to be
Yeah,
conferenced in.
I do. Because they're like, actually, no one loved me. I was always a victim. And then just like my voice from the heavens, like, actually,
Actually,
let's
yes.
be so for real right now.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and punch that ticket and let you think about it for a minute.
Yep, yep.
So, like, my
But Cassie,
thoughts.
what were your thoughts?
My thoughts on. First of all, I'll touch on my thoughts on the NDE and whether or not it's produced by our subconscious. I I like to believe that perhaps it can be guided by our subconscious, but I do believe that NDEs are.
Girl, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought you were saying indies, INDIES, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
No,
Like, you
NDE.
really
I'm
lost
sorry.
the
I'll
plot
slow
now.
down.
Like, what?
I'll slow down. But I think with NDEs, they might be like maybe initiated by subconscious, or maybe your subconscious has something to do with it. But I do fully believe that NDEs are provided to people by a higher power, the universe, a deity, whatever. I
Mhm.
Because I can't fathom having control over where I go. I don't like, this is now going into the afterlife, and I'm going to touch on my thoughts on the afterlife, but I think that I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that your soul gets multiple chances to quote unquote get it right. I
Mhm.
Opting
believe
out.
that.
I'm not doing this again.
Sarah, well, so you know what? Here's the thing. Sorry to think. Sarah, I think you, honestly, me knowing you as a person, I think you're at the max. So as soon as you like you go, that's you have done your all of your reincarnating. You are done with your this
Yeah,
is your final reincarnated form.
like.
Thank you. I take that with gratitude. I am not doing it.
But that's the
Okay.
thing, like, there are some people that you meet, and after speaking with them, like, you can tell that their soul is for lack
Complete.
of a better term, more evolved. Their soul is, like you said, more complete than some other people. Like, there's some kids that you will meet that you're like, you know?
Yeah. Old
Yeah.
souls.
But there's also some people that you meet and you're like, you have really got some shit to learn, dude. Like
It's like
me?
you're just this is your first go around on Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Because they'll look grown on the outside, but then they'll say something, and you're going, you can't really think that's how this works.
But
It
like
is what it is.
like with me, I feel like I have been reincarnated before. I have not had any experiences to confirm or deny that thought, but I do feel like I have lived other lives.
Mhm.
But I don't feel like this is my last one. I
Yeah, me neither.
I feel like there is still so much that I need to learn. I feel like I am learning shit now at 30 that I should have learned at 10, 9, 4. Like, because not just were my parents not teaching me the things that I needed to know as a person, but they weren't helping guide me to better my soul. And I feel like that's part of being a parent, is to not just teach your kids how to wash fucking dishes, but how to, I think, learning to emotionally regulate is
Oh
a
yeah.
soul thing. It's
Hmm.
not, it's not a physical thing that you need to learn. Learning to regulate your emotions is something that you have to learn to do within yourself. It's not something you can physically manipulate into, okay, I'm sad, now I'm just going to be happy. You know? Like, so I feel like there are afterlives. I feel like there is a, not necessarily a final afterlife, but I do believe that at a certain point, souls are done with Earth.
Yeah.
They move on to the next dimension, if you will, the next realm of reality.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
And go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was talking to B about this actually recently, that if I do come back, I want to come back as an ancestor or a spirit guide. Because first of all, I think uh, I would have fun,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think I would be fun as a
You'd
spirit
have a
guide,
blast
because
the
the way
most.
I would
Yeah.
just wrap that mess up, it is like we're done. But when we talk about like coming back, because I get deja vu a lot, I get deja vu in certain places. But what I find I experience the most is emotional deja vu. Like when I go through certain experiences, um, the anger, it's like it's not just mine experiencing something again. It's
Your
This
past
is
lives.
so woo woo, but yeah, just stay with me here. It
girl,
is.
we
It's
are woo
like
woo.
like every version of me that's ever felt that way gets stirred up too. And it's kind of like the way I look at it now is trying to live my life with a sense of openness and vulnerability so that if there is another version of me that does have to pay bills and do the corporeal experience, I want that version to just have a soft life filled with wealth and unconditional love, and not even have a whisper of
Mm-hmm.
what came before.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of view the lessons and things that I learn now. It's, well, let me go ahead and do this work so you can sit, on a chaise lounge eating fruit and not worrying about anything because somebody ought to.
Yes. Yes. And I think, I don't know, I love this. I feel like it all ties in together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I wrote down so that I wouldn't forget, but go bear with me. So we have these lives, right? And I'm gonna use Sarah, you as an example, because I believe you're at your like you are your what is it? Your highest power. So going with that, like I said, Sarah, I believe that you are at your final reincarnated state. Your next once you pass, you're gonna be there. So kind of bear with me. I'm gonna try and like piece it all together, my thought process, and then once we're done, if you guys have anything, we can finish it up, and then we'll jump into the next your stories. So, um, my favorite, and I think in my opinion, it's actually real depiction of it is the that show, the bad is what is it called, The Good
The Good
Place?
Place.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I want to
so I
watch that. I
think
haven't watched any of it yet.
so you need to because I'm gonna be honest, it has shaped a lot of what I believe, and I'm not even okay. So anyway, um, so we live our lives, right? We're this spirit, and we decide, okay, I want to live this life, and then we live that life. We come, it's our first one. We come out of it, and we're like, hey, I need to be to where I can be my maxed enlightened self, i.e., Sarah when she passes. Um, so you say, okay, what life can I live next to help me grow through that? So you pick that life and you keep going and going and going and going. And it's different timelines because time isn't linear. You can even like in my mind, Sarah is my spirit guide right now. Um,
That's fair.
she's passed
Love
away, but she's in my timeline as my spirit guide. That's all I'm saying.
that.
Time is a weird soup.
So it is. And so you keep going and you keep going until you get to that high thing. So ultimately, or even I am my spirit guide, if you want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like at the end of the day, you are your own spirit guide, but it's your enlightened self, and you're always guiding yourself through those multiple lives. And so when you get to your enlightened self, that's when you get to become that spirit guiding. You get to go through your different help previous versions of yourself, even if it's not necessarily you don't have an active role. It's like in those moments where you're down and out, you have and you need that comfort and you need that higher power. You are your higher power. It all goes back to you being your higher power. Um, and I don't know, it's just that's how I believe it is, and I think it's
I
very
really like
beautiful,
that
and
thought.
I love it. It's very reassuring. It's very comforting. It's like you're always with yourself, and that's why maybe why you need to love yourself the most because you know. Anyway,
Yeah. Hell
that
yeah.
was all I had to say about that.
I love
No,
that
I
thought
actually love
process.
that you mentioned that because I think I don't know if we had talked about this, but like the first 6 months of this year have been rude,
Hmm.
is what we'll say. It's just
Rude.
rude. But
That
I
was
remember
rude.
at one point everything got so heavy for me that I went in front of, I might have even talked about it on a podcast before, who knows.
I
I
think you
went in
have,
front of
but I
kind of
love
like a
hearing the
sacred
story.
space that I have in my room, and I just like broke down and I asked for help. And it was just like that ugly sobbing mess. And it was just like, and anyone who was available, please help me, right? Like any deity picking up, anybody, any ancestor, whoever's got a free line, help a girl out.
Yeah.
And like sobbing so hard, I was leaning against my bed. Um, Not a cute moment, but then all of a sudden, it just stopped,
Hmm.
and there was such a weird, overwhelming sense of peace and a distinct knowledge that it was for a reason and gonna be okay, that was so firm and concrete. It felt like it had to have come from a version of me that had already gone through it. Um, and I felt like other senses of comfort too, but there was definitely an underlying sense of we've already gone through it and it was worth it, that I could not explain, but was very real.
I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it was a version of me being like, look, I know I too was here sobbing by the bed, but now we're fine.
Right.
And I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. So I just came back to let you know.
And
Good to
they're
go.
there. You're good.
Yeah, they're there. We
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I love it.
So if we are ready to touch on the next thing,
Oh, I think you froze.
hi. I don't know what
Welcome
happened.
back.
I was serious about leaving. I'm trying to move the. There we go. So I am going to talk about lucid dreaming because that is something that I experience. Um, and the story that I'm talking about, I'm going to need to edit a little because some of their descriptions are more um, graphic when they
Okay.
out the dream they had. So I'm going to uh, kind of lower. We're going to try to get it down to PG-13.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So I am reading a story by Medio Jet. Um, and this is actually very similar to something that I've gone through. But they say growing up, not often, but very occasionally, I would have nightmares. In all of them, I would either be alone or the only people would be far away on the horizon. The dreams often had a very quiet and sinister nature and a feeling of being stuck. Examples would be being inside of a dark house that started to catch on fire or being slowly pulled into the ocean as a giant wave approached. I
That sounds
always
familiar.
I know that was kind of why I was like, oh, same bestie. Um, I always found dreams fascinating, and in my early 20s, I researched lucid dreams and became good at achieving them. After being familiar with my lucid dreams, I could control them well and remove anything negative that I didn't like. One night, I decided not to escape the darkness, but rather move into it. I dreamed I was in my childhood town. In this dream, the town was deserted and run down. Boarded up windows, trash and autumn leaves blowing across the streets. I was looking for something and wanted to leave, but couldn't find whatever it was. I saw my childhood home. I just had a feeling it wasn't right and decided this was a dream. I didn't need a reality check or get excited because I was familiar with lucid dreams by now and simply breathed a sigh of relief. I prepared to leave the scene, but I looked back on my childhood home. It was dark, something was not right, and I could feel the eerie, sinister silence I'd felt in nightmares long past. I decided that it may be a good idea to purposefully pursue this fear. It might be a new area of my mind to explore and gain greater control over. I ventured inside and it was dark. Somehow, no light was able to enter from the outside. It was as if the light was sucked out of the air itself. The eerie silence intensified. Somehow, it was deafening. Certain corners of the house were so dark they were completely obscured in black shadows. I moved closer to one of these corners and I could start to see something. Something was different. I felt afraid, the same feeling that would make my eyes water, throat tighten, and hair stand on end washed over me. However, I was also excited. I knew this was a dream and had no doubts about it. As I approached this corner, the form of what was there finally came into view. It was a hole bored straight down through the floorboards, perhaps a meter wide. I could see nothing in it, not the basement, not a pathway, just an abyss. Standing on the edge, I felt a sense of something, almost as if a low hum was traveling through my body. Not quite a voice or growl, but more like a vibration. I didn't know why, but it was directed at me and it felt like anger. Then they speak about removing all fear from themselves. The subconscious is a wild thing. I'd let it do its worst. I would let this dream take control as much as it wanted to, and I would not be intimidated. Eyes open, I leaned forward and tumbled in. Blackness.
I'm just gonna say before you jump back in, I'm spooked.
Yeah, it's a little spooky. Um, so moments later, they found themselves standing on a grimy floor of tiled stone or concrete. The walls were the same way, and the darkness pervaded this place as well. It was a small room with no doors or windows, like a small stone cube. It was immediately evident that I was not alone. And this part freaked me out because I have seen the same figure in a lucid dream of mine.
Oh
I'm
my God.
sorry.
I'm so
Sorry.
uncomfortable.
Crouching, facing away from me in tattered cloth, was a lanky, shriveled girl. The thing turned towards me and stood hunched over. It had shriveled skin, long, greasy black hair, a gaping, unnatural mouth, and sharp claw-like fingers about 4 times longer than they should be.
I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, it approached. I felt disgusted, if not afraid, and did not like being there. Fair enough. Still, I was adamant that I wanted this dream to do its worst, and I wanted to prove that I couldn't be controlled in my own mind. He then is, we'll put vaguely attacked by the creature.
Okay.
Um, it's a little gross,
Yeah.
obviously, but he talks about being an observer to what was happening.
Okay.
And then after observing it for a while, um, he reaches, or where they reach his or her hand out, I'm not sure, and kind of take off the creature's face.
Okay.
And they felt like, in a way, it was telling their subconscious, yeah, big whoop, I can be spooky too. Don't even bother.
I love that.
And the dream faded to black. From the darkness, I woke up. I knew I had mastered another part of my own mind. I ventured into the darkest corner I could find and successfully trivialized the whole experience. Since then, I have never had another nightmare of that kind. I still occasionally have bad dreams when non lucid, but they're more mundane. And it ends by saying, and this is something I agree with, I think conquering your fears in lucid dreams, whatever those fears are, can be really powerful. For the bold, I challenge other lucid dreamers to let their bad dreams take hold and then trivialize them. Thanks for reading.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And this is something, BB, I think that you and I have actually covered
Yeah.
because I too have had lucid dreams where eventually, like, they keep playing out until you face them. I
Yeah.
personally used to have a lot of lucid dreams of the deep ocean, as we've talked about, and where there would be that large kind of prehistoric feeling creatures around me, and that those dreams continued until I let one of them eat me, and then in my dream summoned fire that burned away the creature and the ocean and just everything until I was standing on glass. And that's what ended those nightmares for me.
I love that. I made a note of something that you when you were reading that lucid dream, that kind of ties back into near death experiences, but I'll bring it up here in a moment. But I definitely I need to start jumping back into trying to lucid dream. What I want to do is get I think the first step for me is to dream journal, and I need to get a lamp because I want to do that. I want to see what those. I'm a scaredy cat, so I think for the first few times I'm probably going to run away, but I really want to do that. Um, but the thing that I wanted to mention is in their lucid dream, you had mentioned there being a low hum
Mm-hmm.
and a common, and I think I mentioned this in the last episode about out of body experiences, but a like one of the most common themes of near death experiences and out of body experiences is a low hum. Granted, some people it's comforting, some people it's not so much. I think it depends on the situation or the circumstances and whatnot, but that just kind of really stood out to me.
Well, and it's really interesting because when you talked about the near death experience and kind of like if it is a dream, why isn't it like our other ones? We were talking about how if those are just dreams, why aren't they like other ones? And the ones that they are most similar to are lucid dreams. And when
Yes.
you talk about the hum in both, it's interesting because it's like you reach a certain vibration's not the right word, I feel, but it's kind of the closest one.
Like a
Frequency,
wavelength,
maybe?
Yeah. Huh?
Frequency?
What,
frequency.
Cassie? What?
Frequency.
Oh. I thought you were asking. Okay. Maybe frequency, but yeah, like you stumble for whatever reason when you're lucid dreaming, like you stumble into a frequency that kind of not everyone gets into or that you're not into most of the time.
Yeah.
And another thing I also found was interesting is when we talk about near death experiences, there are a lot of similarities. And while I was researching lucid dreaming, I noticed there was a lot of similarities there too. Like I visit a lot of the same places when I lucid dream. Like there's a house I go to specifically or a mall I will go to specifically. And a lot of times the quote unquote cast is even the same, right? And there will also be a feeling that I kind of know what's coming, which could be either just my subconscious knowing because it's doing it,
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm running the show. This is your next scene. But it doesn't feel that way in the moment. But I thought it was interesting that a lot of people mention that when they lucid dream, it is the same. It because it feels like popping into a parallel something almost
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, because even sometimes in a lucid dream, I don't feel like my motivations are the same in the dream that they would be if I myself were in that situation, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
So as you explore lucid dreams, I'm going to be excited to hear if you
Man.
find yourself kind of
Yeah. Well,
like
the one thing. Oh, go ahead.
just that feeling of popping into a
Yeah.
character that's already created sometimes.
Yeah. And I'll say that I have had, and I've talked to you about both of them. The ones that freak me out. I've had two lucid dreams that really freaked me out, and they were the ones that I I woke up in the bedroom, in my current bedroom, and everything was exactly the same as it is in real life. Um, and I can't move very well. I'm moving almost in a drunken state. However, I'm not drunk. And I get so scared that like the first one I started to cry, the second one, um, it was a situation where I wanted to leave the bedroom door open because everybody out there was very happy and whatnot. But instead of leaving the door open, I closed it.
Right.
And I talked about it, and you said, or my my chat GPT told me that it was a way of like some part of me knew that it wasn't necessarily safe to do so, so I closed the door. And so yeah, that's right now where I'm at. I don't think a lot of my lucid dreams that I have pertain to, I don't have scary dreams much. Like the scariest dream I have, or the most the real I don't want to say it's scary, it's just sickening.
Right.
It's a recurring dream of most common people, or people have it sometimes, is your teeth falling out.
Hmm.
My teeth in my dreams don't just fall out, and I've told you this before, Sarah, but my
Yeah.
teeth crumble into powder and sand-like texture in my mouth.
Yeah.
I've
That's
had that
and
dream too.
I'm spitting them out, and I can't get it out enough.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other reoccurring dreams, the ones that are lucid, I find that I can fly, that I can
Hmm.
breathe underwater, or that I can change the color of things. Like the one where I was painting myself with just I was changing my skin color into what, purple, I think.
It was
Um,
purple.
so those are
It's
my
one of my
lucid those
favorite
are
ones you've had.
my lucid dreams aren't they don't have that. Okay, they haven't had those negative connotations in the past until I started diving into lucid dreaming, like
Hmm.
actively wanting to do it, and that's when they took on that spooky
Undertone.
vibe. And that one, the second one, I think I don't remember if I told you, but that's the first one I didn't feel like I was being watched. But the second one, I definitely felt like I was being watched.
Yeah, because I mentioned to you that there had been a couple where I felt like I was being
Examined.
observed.
Observed,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think what's interesting too is when you talk about feeling like you're drunk, almost like because it made me think of when I first started lucid dreaming, and it'd be something where I was moving really slow. It very strange. It was like I hadn't integrated all the way into the dream, so my controlling of, I'll say avatar, like a video game almost. So like my control was not,
Roach, if you will.
yes, if you will. So it's like my control was not good. Like I was pressing the right buttons, but it was just like, no, I don't know what you're talking about or what you want from me. Thank you so much. And then, but you're right. It's once you make that realization, it's almost like then there becomes a pressure to handle the dream correctly,
Hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, and there's rules when you look into it. There are rules on when you're lucid dreaming, what you should and shouldn't do. Like you're not supposed to ask anybody. I think you're not supposed to ask any of the people in your dream what time it is. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to acknowledge that you are in a lucid dream. I don't think you're supposed to. There's other rules. I can't remember specifically, but I know those two are if they're not the exact rules, there's something similar, but there are certain things that you should not do in those lucid dreams with the people in your lucid dreams because it turns very dark very quickly. Like I've heard stories even from the morbid podcast ladies, like Elena, she's had a dream where she was like, I'm gonna ask anyway because she's a stubborn lady and I love her to death for it.
Yeah.
She was like, guess what, I'm gonna do it anyway. And so she did it, and like if I remember correctly, everything like stopped and everybody looked at her.
Yeah.
And
That's what I've
you're not
heard.
No, thank
do
you.
it.
That's what I've heard. Like
Yeah,
every,
I'm not there. I'm not there, and I don't know that I ever will be there. I'm there for facing my dreams or my fears, but I don't think that I can ever do that.
well, here's the thing. Here's another thing that I found to be very common in the lucid dreaming. world is the feeling that you are looking or searching for something. I have dealt with that a lot. Like there is something or someone I'm looking for. A very common theme for me is I will try to call for help or reach someone,
Hmm.
and I'll be having problems with my phone, or
Okay.
like I can't find the right number, or
Hmm.
um and you're not supposed to be able to read in your dreams, but sometimes I can. Like sometimes I'll
Hmm.
see a text message from someone. Um, but it is there's this very common theme of looking for something or someone. Um, so I feel like when I'm in my lucid dream, I it's never occurred to me to be like, hey, what time is it? Or I don't want to be found
Yeah.
necessarily. I want to find what I'm looking for. It's very much, it feels like an undercover operation. I don't know how else to
No,
put it.
that's a very, very good way to describe it because you're needing to get something, but that you can't be found while you're trying to get that something.
Yeah, it's find it before they find you, I
Yeah.
guess, is the,
And
because
that's so
sometimes I'll
sneaky.
feel like, again, we talk about, or I spoke about kind of feeling like you're in a character that already exists.
Hmm.
So I'll be interacting with people, um and they'll look at me like in a weird way, like I responded
Like you
in
Wrong.
a
shouldn't have.
way that they felt was off.
Yeah.
And immediately in the dream, I'm like, I need to get the hell up out of this room. Like, and I don't know what
I
it
did
is,
some.
but
I
I'm
broke a
always,
rule I
okay,
wasn't supposed to.
yeah, let me
Maybe
go.
that's probably the next step I need to go is look at the rules of what you're not supposed to do when dreaming. I'm taking notes this whole podcast, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I do think that, again, a lot of it is instinctual because, again, I felt that before I knew there was like a quote unquote rule, right? Like,
Yeah.
someone would ask me a question and I'd open my mouth. Sorry, it's my throat.
You're good,
And
take
there'd be this inner voice that's like, "Hey, real quick, shut the fuck up." And I'm like, "Okay, bet.
I
I'm
got
gonna
you.
do
No
it."
problem.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I will. And then in the dream, you're just like, I'm a head out, like that SpongeBob meme, right?
Right.
Um, so it is. It's interesting. It's like you have an inner knowing of the basics of how things are gonna run and how you should kind of conduct yourself,
Hmm.
I guess, like being at a masquerade ball. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I love lucid dreaming.
All
Yeah.
right. So with me, I was looking up out of body experiences, and I found one that's titled is "Out of Body Experience Gone Wrong." So just earlier today, I decided to try to have an out of body experience just to see what it was like. Until now, I have never tried this before. It started out pretty normal with me laying down and relaxing. I felt as if my soul was slowly floating away from my body. But then something weird happened right before what I thought would be my soul being fully out of my body. I immediately knew something was wrong. My body sat up and my eyes opened automatically. I was just sitting there, but whenever I tried to move, I couldn't. The weird part, my body started moving on its own, going through my day as if nothing was wrong, but I wasn't the one controlling my body. I was only an observer, trapped in my own body, unable to interact with anything. It felt as if I was trapped in stone. I wanted to scream, I wanted to do anything, but I just couldn't. For a long while, I was stuck like this, for almost an hour, just watching from my point of view, but it wasn't me. Even though I acted exactly like I would, it wasn't me. Eventually, I was able to control my body again, but I decided not to tell anyone because they might think I was crazy. Who knows what they would think? But I still want to know if anyone knows what happened to me. So please, if you know what happened to me, please tell me.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. It's definitely I've
Simulation.
never right, your controller wasn't connected, so it was on autopilot. Um
Yeah.
but no, I've never experienced out of body experiences, lucid dreaming, or near death experiences even, that I can recall at least. Um so reading these kinds of things is always interesting to me because I would love to be able to have an out of body experience, or astral project. Though those are, since watching Charmed, I've wanted to learn to astral project. Okay, being able to not have to sleep and still be able to get shit done. Like, imagine the
Yeah.
amount of money I could bring in if I never had to actually sleep.
Dude. Everybody.
Everybody.
I
The fact that people claim to access the Akashic records, I would love to do that because in games and stuff, I am a loot goblin, but in real life, I am an information goblin. I want to know a little bit about all of the things. Like, even if I don't care about the topic necessarily, like, I want to know about it. Like, I want to
Yeah.
be informed, no matter the situation.
Yeah.
So being able to access the Akashic records has always been something that I've been interested in since I found out that it's a thing that people say exists. And I say that people say exists because I don't know. Even if
Well, there's no
I,
proof. There's no hardcore
yeah,
proof because it's all
yeah,
a mental or interdimensional type thing.
yeah. Like,
And I
even
didn't
if
know
I
that. I
was,
always, for the longest, so go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Was for the longest, I never delved into it, and the my first introduction to the Akashic records was Charmed, the episode that Misha Collins was on, um, and that they actually had the physical, or it was a stone that would um expose the Akashic record. I don't remember
Yeah, yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
but that was my first introduction. So I always thought from that episode that it was a real physical like stone, very similar to the Dead Sea Scrolls
Yeah.
or something. Like I always thought that it was a real thing. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the Akashic records. I always thought that they were actually a real thing until um I actually asked Google about it. And then Google was like, "Hey, it's not real. It's it's interdimensional basically."
Right. Like, I think even if I were to manage to have an out of body experience, an astral projection, where I was able to view them, I think even then there would be a, a little bit of skepticism. Like, I believe what I believe, but even in the back of my own head, there's a little bit of, but what if you're wrong? And I think
Yeah.
that it's I think it's healthy to question reality, um even the metaphysical reality, um
Yeah.
because if you just believe everything just because with no proof, what are you doing? I do believe that there are higher powers. I do believe that even if the deities that we believe in aren't the deities that exist, I believe that if the universe is alive, which, despite skepticism, I do believe, um,
Mhm.
or not despite, but as well as having that skepticism, I do believe, because belief
Yeah.
is without proof. Um, but even if I was to be able to view the Akashic records, I still would not be able to say, yes, they are real 100%. I would be able to say, I've experienced this. I believe what I experienced was true. But unless I can hand you a physical copy, I can't say 100% yes, this is real.
Yeah.
And I think that's super interesting. I don't know
Yeah, I
why
agree.
I
I
went off
think,
on that tangent.
well, I think the Akashic records are more than just a document. I don't think that they're,
No document could exist physically large enough to encompass what the Akashic records are said to be. They are
yeah,
said to be what to contain all information of everything that has ever existed, that ever will exist.
will exist.
And the universe is massive. It's not just containing Earth. Like
Well, it's more
any.
than massive, it's constantly growing.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, though. Like, somebody. I want to say it was Gaia Online or something like that. Not the game, but there's this YouTube channel that I think is just Gaia. And there was this lady who's actually a very famous, not psychic, or telepath or anything like that, but she apparently can access the Akashic records and download information, you know, as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been times where she has been being interviewed by people, and again, not saying that this is all true, it could have been set up, I'm fully aware, but she was saying things to these people that there was no way she should have been able to know about their past. And she was telling them about past lives and where they come from in the galaxy or the universe or whatever. And I I want that ability to just recall information as needed. Like, I don't even necessarily want to be able to hold on to the information. Like, once I say it, once that conversation is done, that information is gone. That's fine. Like take that information once I have imparted it to whatever. But just being able to access information that I shouldn't have access to,
Yeah.
it's just so enticing to me.
Well, so I think humans, it's a human thing to want to know, for the most part, to know everything.
For the most
And when we speak of the Akashic records, it always reminds me of, and it makes me very sad about it, the Library of Alexandria, because have you not heard? Do you not know what that is?
Maybe.
So it was a library that had it was a massive library that so much fucking knowledge it was burned. The entire thing burned down.
Oh my
There
god.
was so much knowledge that had it not
Intentionally?
burned down. I can't recall, but
Okay.
it had so much knowledge that we would probably be way more advanced than we are right now. Like, that's how much knowledge it contained. So
Honestly, it wouldn't take much for us to be much more advanced than we are now.
well, no, I'm just
Just a few
saying, like,
tweaks to history.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is
But yeah.
this library had so much, and every time the Akashic records, I know they're two different things, and the thing is it was an actual real library.
Yeah.
And we had access to that knowledge, and it burned down, and we will never get that shit back. And I don't know, those two things just kind of always, like, they're not interchangeable, but anytime one is brought up, I think
It
of the other.
reminds you.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still muted.
You're muted.
Oh,
Here we go.
I was just saying, I'm still sad about the Library of Alexandria.
Yes.
Like, it happened so
yeah.
far before I was
Dude.
born.
Forever
But-
devastated. I didn't even experience it, but I'm so sad.
Like, anytime information is destroyed or lost, it is a tragedy. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something that could hold the key to infinite energy, you know? Like, even if it's something that's just like a poem that shows someone's innermost thoughts, like things like that, like any kind of lost information is a tragedy. But that's also what's intriguing about accessing the Akashic records, because if you can access the Akashic records, then even information that is destroyed and lost and forgotten is there. So even lost information can be accessed if you can access the Akashic records, supposedly. And I love that thought, because you could spend, if you train, like, say someone young, 18, gets into astral projection and manages to access the Akashic records, and it actually is what it claims to be, they could spend their life bringing back the lost texts of the Exandria library. Like, they could.
There's no way. It's like,
I'm just saying,
there
like,
was
they could
too
bring
much.
back information, though. They could bring back
Some of
books
it,
that
yes.
were lost. Yeah. Or, heck, get a whole cult together. The Akashic cult. I mean, it's got a ring to it. And just have people access different parts of that library.
No. Never here for cults. So sorry.
She's like, unless I'm the leader.
She said, I've done this before. I'm good. I guess we'll go ahead and kind of call this one a closing. So if shit gets weird,
get weirder. And lean into it. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Hey guys, cryptids are notoriously hard to find, but the Like You Know Bruh podcast is not. You can find us on Instagram or TikTok if you just want to keep up with the latest news, or you can listen on YouTube or Spotify. And if you want to email us, that's likeyouknowbruhpodcast@gmail.com. So you can share your stories, tell us what you want to hear, or just tell us about your day. We don't care. We're here. That's LIKEYAKNOWBRUHPODCAST. Reach out to us anytime at Gmail or leave us a comment on any of our social medias. We'd love to hear from you guys. Okay, bye.